Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Resident Evil Code Veronica X. In the last part, we ended up finishing our business here at the Ashford estate, learning some things about Alfred more personally than you would expect we would for a Resident Evil villain in the process. And now he's pressed the self-destruct button for the island, so we need to get the hell out of here as soon as we can. I don't know how that Bandersnatch missed me, but I'll take that W, I guess. Same with that one. Now, we do have to go relatively far in order to actively get off the island. In particular, we have to go all the way back to where we placed that first proof way back in, like, what was that, part 3 or 4, somewhere in that range? But since we now have all 3 of those proofs, we can actually, use those for their intended purpose. Thankfully, even though the self-destruct button's been pressed, there's no timer yet. They are relatively generous with that. In fact, every single major timer in this game is far more generous than I think any other classic Resident Evil before it. And I can't help if that's because they figured you'd either be using more ammo or fighting more things along the way, or it's probably also a thing that's... I don't remember how far down the timer got on my first playthrough of the game. Although we are coming up on where I got my first dead game on my initial playthrough, as I both found less ammo but used more on my first run. And because of it, that might honestly be why I'm so, ammo conservative in this particular playthrough. Because I just am always in the back of my mind going, I remember this happening, I remember this happening, I have to make sure that does not happen again. And, yeah, that's why I have over 500 handgun bullets by the end of the game. Interestingly, though, don't really spawn new enemies during the self-destruct sequence. You just need to get to the place you need to get to. They're surprisingly, kind in this section of the game. I don't even remember if the Cerberus respawn. I guess we'll find out in a moment, though. Let's see, do I hear the tippy-tappy of little dog feet? I do not.
Claire! Those must be the remaining survivors.
We'd better get out of here, too.
Right. Let's go!
And now we at least get the self-destruct music. We're not at the self-destruct timer still yet, though. Now, this is the first section that I think I technically brought up earlier on, where there's just points where you can just talk to Steve if you stand
We gotta get to that airport.
Self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuated. The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuated. The self-destruct system has been...
For some reason, I always think there should be a line of dialogue there from Steve, and I don't know why. I think it's because it's one of the few times they actively have someone who's not the player character activate any kind of door.
The self-destruct...
Again, no line, Steve. I mean, at least I like that he's not talking for once, and he's kind of focused on what he's doing. In fact, you know what? This is probably my favorite Steve section in the game, because he doesn't really cause any problems. Any problems that happen are because of the environment around us, more so than Steve himself. Man, Steve, though, you couldn't at least take care of these zombies, although I guess now that I think about it, he did kind of exhaust all of his submachine gun ammo. So, you know what? No, this makes sense. And thus, we're in the room we need to use the proofs at.
Let's get out of here!
And that's the first example of what I brought up earlier, but there's a couple points in the game where you and Steve are just in the same room, and you can talk to him, and he'll say a line somewhat relevant to what's going on. It's usually something like, "Come on, Claire, let's get out of here," or things like that. But now that all 3 proofs are in, we can now lower this platform into this. I think this plane's called the Hercules from memory. And thus we enter what I like to call my nightmare. Not just because I don't like flying, which I do not. I get very easily motion sick, so any kind of travel like planes just messes with me. But also because this is easily some of the most important inventory management in the game. Make sure you have a lot of ammo on you, but not enough that you don't have inventory space left. If I could recommend bringing in anything, it's the BOW gas rounds. And make sure you actually use them, unlike me, as this section coming up is the only point they're super useful in the game.
No! can't take off unless we raise the bridge.
The self-destruct
Leave that to
system
me.
has
You stay here and make preparations for takeoff.
all personnel evacuate.
Well, before you leave the plane, make sure you save you have to using the increments right there on that typewriter, but also make sure you grab the control lever. This is a point in the game I can very much recommend saving on a first playthrough, as you're coming up on a point of no return, but this is still a point you can return, so if there's any herbs you want to go back and grab or ammo you missed because you think you wouldn't need it, go grab it now, because at this point, if you die at an upcoming boss fight, you won't need to worry about not being able to go grab more stuff. Because you can save with that typewriter now, or after a point of no return. And guess where I saved on my first playthrough, making it a dead game. Ugh. So that control lever, you might remember a certain panel a couple parts back was missing that, and it's right above the plane. That's our current destination. I always laugh in this hallway right here on the way to our next destination. Because for some reason I always think a Bandersnatch is going to spawn here. I don't think one ever does, even in the battle modes, because I don't think that room's in any of the battle modes. Because at this point, the Bandersnatches are kind of a non-threat. Yes, they can hurt you, but the two that you encounter on the way to the Ashford Estate on the way back up last part, and if you didn't kill them then on the way back down like we saw in this video, are like two of the last Bandersnatches in the game. I think there's only like one or two left in the game after that, and I think one of them's completely optional to see, if even. I think that's the imaginary second one I might be thinking of. Let's use that control lever and raise the left platform. So that raises the platform out of the way of the Hercules, but now we can't get back to the door that we used to enter the Hercules. Thankfully, we can now access this room up here, which might take us to something new, maybe. And indeed it does. We're now above the room that's right after the submarine, and while there's some dead bodies up here, there's also the storage key, or the airport key. It just looks like the storage key to me. If you check that key deliberately in the inventory, it says it has the numbers K402 on its little tag. You might remember from a few parts back, there's a door that has that exact number on it, not too far from our current location. So, let's go and grab that. Or at least use it, rather, not grab it. I guess there's some things to grab in that general vicinity. That's just below us right now. Also, I guess technically be careful. Those zombies that were on the elevator that raised several parts ago are still here, but they'll probably never reach you, so don't worry about them if you didn't take them out. Welcome to the final save point on Rockfort Island. This is a very important place to save, and there's also some herbs and ammo for it if you need to. There's an item box here, take advantage of it, because the moment we take care of this room, the self-destruction counter does start, and if that goes off, well, game over. I recommend equipping your BOW gas rounds for right now, or the acid rounds, as they're going to be what's important for what's coming up. Also make sure you have at least 1 or 2 healing items, preferably something that can heal you to max, like a green-red combo, as otherwise you can take a lot of damage very quickly. I could also recommend, and I forget if I grab it now or later, this is a place I could recommend equipping the bow gun powder to some of your bow gun darts to make that secondary ammo type for the bow gun, as they're also pretty useful in what's coming up, but I think I saved those until the second part of what's going to happen, because we are going to get back to the Hercules before we're done with this video. Well, for right now, we just need to push these boxes into the elevator so the shutter can close.
Self-destruct system.
5 minutes until detonation.
I will not allow you fools to escape. This is what you get for trying to oppose me. Now feel my revenge.
There's always a Tyrant, isn't there? Honestly, though, this is one of my favorite Tyrant designs, not for nothing. I like the boxing gloves. They're kind of dumb, but I appreciate their dumbness. And I believe this is meant to be what one of the Tyrants from Resident Evil 2 looks like underneath their cape, or their coat. It's just that they don't have the full mutation set in or something like that. There's some lore where this thing is meant to be like an experimental strain of them or some shit. Alright, T-078 will slowly walk towards you. If you shoot it, it'll get knocked down on its knees. And I think when it's on its knees, it doesn't actually take any damage, so don't waste your acid rounds like I am. When it gets too close to you, it will punch you, which does hurt, but it'll also push you backwards. If you get pushed backwards into the fire behind us, it is instant kill. The BOW rounds are best used against the Tyrants in the game, though, as while the main hit doesn't do too much damage. I believe the gas the rounds release takes out about half its health, but I only recommend using one of them on him for right now. And then switching to like acid or grenade rounds, as that should take him out in pretty short sequence. And he's out of the way. That's really all he really does. He only kind of approaches you menacingly, and if you have the ammo, it doesn't really get a chance to touch you. Now we just need to get back to the plane before the timer's out. And just to make this go by a little faster so we can finish this part not in like 24 minutes, I'm speeding up the trek back more or less to the room before the plane. Because again, this game's backtracking is easily the most apparent in the series, and anything I can save you guys without jump cutting in this particular series, because navigation's a big part of Resident Evil, I'll see if I can do. I do generally find, even if you're lower on ammo reserves than I am, that the timer here is a little bit generous. They probably could have knocked a minute off of it, and it would have been more interesting. And I think maybe higher difficulties might do that, but I forget what difficulty modes are available from the start in Code Veronica X. Like, I know the Japanese version has a very easy mode that, like, gives you the bow gun from the start of the game, but it's in the item box, and, like, doubles the amount of ammo from every single drop, so, like, the initial 3 BOW gas rounds become 6 and shit like that. But I've never really messed around with that mode too much. I remember that just from the wiki.
Took you so long. I was starting to get worried.
No time to explain. Let's go.
Right, we're out of here. Time to say goodbye to this death trap. We made it! Yahoo!
Ugh, it's finally over.
Claire, I'm sorry. I know I caused a lot of trouble for you.
No, it's okay. It was hard for both of us.
Well, I really hope you find your brother. I know what it's like to be alone.
Oh, Steve.
So, where should we go now? I can take you anywhere you want to go, Claire.
I hear Hawaii's nice this time of year.
You got it!
This game is not over yet. Now you will see what real terror is all about.
check it out.
Thanks. I've unlocked the cargo room door.
Oh man, and by the sound of it, Dr. Eggman's invading Prison Island. Shit. So this is where I saved that caused me a dead game. If you don't have enough ammo here, or healing items even, it's very easy to just not be able to progress past here. And on my first playthrough, that's what happened, because I figured after that fight with the Tyrant, we were home free. Far from it. My recommendation, bring some grenade rounds if you have some, acid rounds if you have any left, and if you have at least 2 bioweapon gas rounds, make sure to use them. This is also where you can easily use the bow gunpowder, as I find this fight's a very good place to use them. Welcome to the reason this plane is my nightmare. Materials preparation complete. Catapult ready. Mr. T here is back and he is pissed. That claw's not for show. If he hits you, he can knock you to the ground and then do a slam attack that's not quite instant kill, but it does absurd damage. The big thing with this fight is you might notice that the plane is open in the back. He can knock you out and it is instant kill. But our goal here is to knock him out. The more damage you do, the more he'll start to bleed. And you can make that catapult that was next to us at the door go off to fling him out. And that is your ultimate goal, but if he's getting too close to you, you can go by and just knock him backwards, because he will knock the catapult back and it'll take time to reset. Again, gas rounds here, very useful, but I just forget to use them. That fight can be an absolute pain in the ass on a first playthrough if you just don't have the resources for it. And because of that, it's one of my nightmares. But in better news, there's a mouse in the plane. That's cool. With that, though, we're halfway through the game officially. More on that in a moment.
What was wrong?
Oh, nothing. Just a giant cockroach that had to be stepped on.
What's happening?
I don't know. The plane just changed direction on its own. It's flying in autopilot mode. I can't switch over to manual control.
My apologies, but I cannot let you escape now.
Oh! Alfred! You cross-dressing freak!
Out of context, that did not age well. Has rights. I have rights. Steve? 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 Somebody stop him! Oh, for God.
Hey, where are we?
Huh?
Latitude 82.17 degrees. That's the Antarctic. We're over the Antarctic.
What? Hey! Those are the seaplanes that left the island right before us.
Then that must mean this place belongs to Umbrella.
Save first half end data? Why, yes we will. This is a completely free save. Even if you're going for the highest ranking, you're completely safe to save here, because they don't want to punish you in case a disk read error happens here. Because now we're at the start of Disc 2 in the GameCube and Dreamcast versions. We're only halfway done, folks. Oh boy. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in Part 9, we start off the Antarctic base. See you guys then.